Okay. I think this is part three of a little bit of a journey that started with kind of cleaning up an old Unity 2020 project and then getting assembly definitions and things broken into different assemblies. And this third part, the whole point of this was so that I could add some unit tests. So what I want to do now is window. Actually, let's first add what we're going to test. Scripts. I'm going to create a script called asteroid scriptable object. So this is going to extend. So what a scriptable object is, just for people who don't know, is basically it's kind of like a configuration. Oops, hold on. It's kind of like a configuration holder for different like aspects of a game object. It's subtly different from a prefab because the intent is that you can kind of have a good separation between art department and coding. So when you create a scriptable object, you can this is not set up yet, but you can come into assets and create an instance of that scriptable object. So I'm going to cheat just a little bit because I've already done this a couple of times and I don't want to do this again. Where is it? Just drop this in here. So what we've got here is we're going to create a new asteroid entry in the assets menu. And an asteroid is basically going to have a name, it's going to have a health, and it's going to have a speed. This is just stupid demo code. This has nothing really to do with the project I'm working on. I just want to have something to test. So we see that this should be now registered in the assets menu. So if I go into Asterix and I go to scriptable object instance, create Asterix asteroid, new asteroid. So now I can configure data here, right? It's okay if you don't fully comprehend scriptable objects at this point. I'm not even sure I have that great a handle on them, but that's something that I'm studying in the courseware. But right now, I just want to be able to kind of demonstrate that I have unit tests working. So what I'm going to do is going to come in here and I'm going to go to Window, General, Test Runner, and then create edit mode test assembly folder. And what that did is it created a test folder at this root. I'm not sure if that should go in scripts or not. I kind of think I can leave it out here. It created that and it created an assembly definition for the test. And we see that the tests are editor tests and they don't have any assembly definition references. So if I want these tests to reference that scriptable object code, I have to add a reference. The first thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to make a subfolder in here called editor tests. Unity's been crashing all over the place on me today. And I'm going to rename this editor tests and move this in here. And then I think there's one additional step, which is we want to name this, right? So the reason I did that is because you also have, I forget what the opposite of an editor test is. It's like a gameplay test that depends on the game running. So right now we're just doing static unit tests. I don't know if they're static, but they're largely tests some static code that is an adjunct to gameplay. So I can now create C structures. So we'll call this asteroid scriptable object tests, and I'm also going to cheat here and dump in some test code. Okay, so what have we got? We've got so the first thing we notice is that we have got a broken reference to that scriptable object we created. So let's fix that first. What we need here is a assembly definition reference because editor test is in its own assembly. Like if we look at this solution window over here, editor tests has its, the editor tests are in its own assembly, so it doesn't know anything about the Asterix assembly. And another view into that, just so you kind of know what's going on, and I've already kind of gone over this in previous parts, is you see that there are separate, this is vestigial, I don't need this. There are separate CS projects for the assembly definitions. This is the editor test. This is my main Asterix code. This is the default one. These are also default ones for older versions of Unity, etc. So what we need to do here to get this reference to work is add I'm not super clear on what the difference between an assembly reference and an assembly definition reference is. I see that NUnit is coming in through an assembly reference. NUnit is the unit test framework, but what I want is to reference my own code. So just do that. And don't forget to apply it. And that's thinking. And that error went away. And that goes gray, so that's perfect. So let's just look at what this is doing. So this is basically instantiating an instance of the scriptable object. That's the same as going asset create asteroid, and it's setting the asteroid name to test asteroid and health to oops, 100 and speed to 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. So that's all. That it's basically instantiated it. It's created a teardown method for this asteroid object. It's doing a stupid. This is just demonstrating that how you do assertions in a unit test, but it's just basically asserting that what we said here is correctly said. And then I'm not sure why it did this test. This seems a little. I don't know. I'm not sure I would have like human generated this as just like part of the base example, but this is can be saved. So it's basically creating and saving an asset and then asserting it's not null and deleting it. So now what we can do though is we can go up to Window, Unity, Window, General, Test Runner, and we see here that we're in edit mode tests, and there's our asteroid SR test file. And there's can be saved as asset and are set correctly, which is those two test functions. We can hit run all, and they pass. So we have working unit tests, which is amazing. That was kind of a long journey. I assert that these tutorials may not be super useful because a lot of this is a function of being pinned to Unity 2020.3. Just to recapitulate, Unity 2020.3, when it generates these assemblies like I don't think assembly definitions were really a thing in 2020, but you need them now to get editor tests running. So that's why we went through all of that.